So we're back into a review screen. We've talked about some of the new features in the settings. We've talked about a new head rotation. We talked about some of the tilts we added. We added rib cage tilt, shoulder tilt, and hip tilt. Being able to kind of look at those segments on a 1-by-1 ratio rather than just gluing the spine together.
Right.
So now let's go into, we're going to take a look at the new angles that we've added. So in the past we had lead wrist set, we had lead arm adduction. We've added 4 new ones. I know you're excited about one of these.
Yeah, the trail elbow, that, to me, this is where, 8 to 30 handicappers, 75% or more of them have an issue right there.
Okay, awesome. Let's dive right in.
Let's see where yours is first before I make fun of what the wrong number is.
Okay, so here's my personal golf swing. So as you can see, my right arm's pretty much straight.
180 would be straight.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and play it to the top.
Okay, that was
so
perfect.
Yep. So I'm 95. So I'm greater than 90 at the top. Is that
perfect? I mean, obviously this is where golf instruction can be a little frustrating. There are always outliers.
Sure.
You can say, okay, this is terrible, never ever do this. Oh, here's such and such, he won 4 majors in the 50s.
Sure.
You got to put the outliers aside. You get great play. See, one of my problems with the way golf instruction is approached is people see a great player and they're like, oh, well, look at this strange thing that he does. This must be why he's good. Dustin Johnson's left wrist.
Sure.
Oh, let's bow our wrist, then we'll hit it a mile and win golf tournaments.
Jordan Spieth.
Yep. Pull with the left elbow, okay? So a guy comes for a lesson, oh, you're pulling too hard with your left elbow. This is a weak position. Well, Jordan Spieth does that.
Right.
Okay? What we need to look at is what not even the majority, what all of them do. And there are 2 or 3 things that you pretty much see in every great player. One of them is their spine is a little bit tilted away from the targeted impact.
So secondary tilt.
Tilt. So that's going to be, like this. The right shoulder is going to be lower than the left. The hips are going to be a little forward. Sure. The head's going to be behind the ball. Obviously you don't want to be like this.
So you're showing this amount of tilt away from the target.
Where you see amateurs, especially the big slicers, they're tilted forward and their head's in front of the ball.
Yep.
That's a huge one. That's not talked about enough.
Showing spine tilt away, showing spine tilt forward.
Right.
Yep.
But the one that's even less talked about is the right elbow angle.
Okay.
And you'll see, especially longer hitters, but all great players don't go past 90 degrees. And you're a perfect example. You went to 90, I think it might have gone to 93 in one of the frames. And you see every day, if I have a day where I have 7 lessons and, it's not a day where like a good player's, it's 7 guys that are between 8 and 20 handicaps. All 7 of them are less than 90 degrees.
So when you see that amount of students that come in on a day like, say tomorrow, you're out on the range down in California, you've got 7 or 8 players that have that issue. Is it hard for you to fix them just based off, say you don't have this technology, is it hard for you to fix it based off of feel?
Oh, I
see you smiling.
It's hysterical. I say, okay, and when I explain it to them, they're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, this isn't as powerful a position as that is. Right. I don't have trouble selling that. So then they're like, okay, how do I fix it? So the first one is always, well, at the top of the swing, feel like your right arm is straight,
right.
And they're like, well, then I'll only be able to swing to there. And I'm like, that's absolutely correct.
So where are they? Yeah.
Because, overswinging,
sure.
Arm swing.
So right there, that arm is probably at like a 30, 20, 25 degree angle.
Oh, maybe not that bad, but not 45, 30, whatever it is. It's bad, whatever it is, right? And then I say, okay, and everybody that you see, people, how do I shorten my swing? Like you don't bend, look. So here we go. Swing too long. All right, I'm over swinging. How do I fix that? Okay, well, don't bend the right elbow so much. It's not a long swing anymore. But here's, the original question you asked is, how does this help? I say, make a backswing where you don't bend your right elbow. Oh, is that better? And they go to the same spot.
Right.
Oh no, there's no way. And then I show them this, and let's say 45. Let's use 45 as a round number. 45, and they're like, okay, we're trying to get to 90. And they're like, make a swing. Okay, I guarantee you that one didn't bend at all. It's at 47,
Sure.
And they improve 2 degrees when they need to improve 45. So it gives them a sense of, and then what I'll quite often do, what I'll be able to do, I've done this with the other, is I put while they're in live mode,
right.
I put the tablet right in front of their face. And I'd have them, now with this angle,
Sure.
make a backswing, okay, and then they'll be able to look at the tablet and go, all right, there's 90 right there, and then they'll have a sense of where that is.
Sure.
Because when you make a practice swing and you're looking at it, oh yeah, that's perfect, and then they're like that as soon as they look down.
Yep.
So now they'll be able to have it right in front of them what that feels like.
Live feedback, biofeedback, if you want to call it
Absolutely.
that. Awesome. So let's take that swing to impact, or actually let's scroll down just real slow and see what my arm actually does from the top to. So with players that have very wide trail elbows, the wide angle at the top, will you see a little bit of bending coming down?
Absolutely.
So I hate the term wide to narrow, but there's a little bit of that.
Okay. Then you see this is where people make the mistake. They're like, okay, I'm going to go wide to narrow. Then they don't set their wrists. Here's where that becomes a problem. Golf instruction it's a circular issue. You tell people to go wide, they don't set their wrists. Their brain knows that club's not loaded properly, then guess what they do?
Yep.
They bend their elbow. So instead of setting their wrist, they bend their elbow and they end up like this at the top. So in the wide to narrow thing, yes, you will see guys with very wide backswings actually reduce that angle just a little bit. You did 2 degrees.
Yep.
Okay? Most good players will reduce it slightly. That's why you don't want it like this, because guess what happens when you're like this? You extend.
Casting, right?
It's gone.
Everyone's heard that.
Oh, well, I just gotta hold it.
Yep.
That doesn't work.
Well, but you also see a lot of players a lot of high handicaps that get to here at the top, and they don't have the room to come down. So then they're going to throw too early. They lose some of that angle, and then they have no shaft lean, and they slice it, and hit it high right.
See, this is we've talked about. In these segments, the going to extremes. So nobody wants this. Right. Nobody thinks that's right. So when you start going like this and like that and like that, then that's worse. You need to find that middle ground where you get some proper width at the top, and when the good players go wide to narrow, it's not that much of a narrowing, and the narrowing is caused by the stress that the rotation of the body puts on the arms and the club. The load, absolutely, the load. And if you're in here like this, your body's going to hate that. So then when your body starts to turn, it goes like this.
So would I be accurate in saying that this angle is going to be very important from, say, 3/4 of the way back in the backswing to then about halfway down? Really, this particular motion from about here to then coming down, that'll be where you'll look at this the most?
You put most people in a good position at the top, 90% of them are going to get to there pretty well.
Awesome.
So if you can get somebody to that 90-degree angle, nobody's going to go like this. That's awkward.
Right.
But this is real easy to do.
Well, and you have to, because there's no space.
Yeah.
There's no room.
There's no more room to bring it in.
So let's ask one more question regarding this angle. For players, for some of the higher handicappers that have a 45-degree angle like we discussed, is it a flexibility issue, or is it it's a lack of awareness, a lack of awareness, because again, your body wants to load the club, and there's different ways you can load it. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong, and if you don't load the wrist properly, your body's going to want to overload the right elbow properly. Okay? So if you get, these, and we've got the wrist angles as well on this. So then you can all of a sudden see, if you get in kind of this position where you don't have
too much bend in the elbow and a nice set in the wrist, then you're in a better position as opposed to not setting the wrist. I mean, I see people all day long that look like this.
And we talk a lot about manipulation. So
Yeah.
if you get into that position, there is a lot that has to happen in order to get back into a decent position at a golf ball.
And it's all bad.
None of it's good.
No, no.